product ideation is the first step to define what is the business need. Once you have identified your product need, just write it down into an Excel sheet and just number it. That becomes your product backlog. Now revisit these requirements. Let's say we want to launch a UPI product into the market for, let's say, low income bracket or senior citizens or children. What we do is we write down the requirements and then re-look at the requirements. It helps you in understanding what is the prioritization, which features should come first. For example, if the segmentation is children, parents' consent is one of the features that needs to come first. Second, if it's a senior citizen segment, then ability of an offline upload and SMS integration is very much needed. Similarly, whenever you take a business case, you have to prioritize your requirements. So let's say your backlog or your product backlog has, let's say, 500 features and you prioritized 50 of them. Then this constitute your MVP feature list. What is MVP? Is your minimum viable product. Minimum features, those are needed in the product to be launched in order for it to be monetized. Then the second part that comes to this is these requirements are then given to the development or the so-called engineering teams. Once they pick these requirements up, they create their own backlog. There are various methodologies of frameworks which are used in development. The most famous one being your agile and second being your waterfall. Both have their pros and cons. Once your feature list is put up into the Scrum backlog, again a prioritization happens wherein the team then picks up features and create user stories. So if one feature is picked up and they write 10 user stories, similarly those user stories and then are story pointed. Every Scrum has summation of story points that is called as the velocity. So let me give you an example. For example, of those 50 features, one feature creates 10 story points with 10 user stories with 2 story points each. So the feature's total story point is 10. And if the bandwidth or the velocity allowed for a given Scrum of 2 weeks is 20, that means only 2 features can be picked up for development in the given sprint. An average sprint comprises of 15 days. So these 2 features will technically be developed, tested and deployed within 15 days. So if we have 50 stories and 2 features are getting picked up in a sprint, we can do our maths for the time needed to complete this 50 stories and then accordingly plan our launch activities. Then once the requirements are story pointed, things get developed, teams test them out, and then they have their release cycles. Release planning is again one of the most critical pieces of engineering teams in the whole assembly line of agile development. Parallelly, as a product manager, we need to engage with the communications and the marketing team holders to create a marketing and communication plan once the deployment is completed. It's a parallel activity that goes hand in hand that helps towards the product launch. I will explain you about product launch activities in my next video. If you do like it, do share, write me and subscribe. Also, it's very important, to be agile and manage multiple threads when you're a product manager. I will speak about that as well in one of my videos. If you have any queries or comments regarding how to become a product manager, what are your challenges that you're currently facing that you would like to get it solved, do put in your comments and I'll try to pick them up. Also, it's very important to have a knack to understand the market needs and the market trends in order to capitalize on the same.